What's up? My name is Rod, and these are the top 5 wildest things I saw in Love is Blind this week. At number 5, we got Taylor and Garrett. Now, Taylor is really into protecting her race, which I think is interesting because the black women don't have a chance to do that. The only thing that's really funny about it is that the other dudes call him a lower middle class Chris Evans, which... At number 4, we have Monica and Steven. Now, this is a wild one because it's obviously this hot black woman with this regular white dude. It's giving Beauty and the Beast, but it's pretty clear that Monica is just giving up on men. She's like, if a man just shows up and smiles at me, I will fall in love. In the 90s, she would be dating a lawyer that looks like Eddie Murphy in Boomerang, but in 2024, she's like, I'll take what I can get. And the reason I have to say this is because this man says to her in the pods, a black woman, his dad is 3/5 black. Now, you could throw out any number, and there's a lot of people who hear that, and they're like, well, yeah, I know some mixed race people. And it's like, no. 3/5 is a very specific number. Look it up. But he also says that he's voted Trump before, that his dad is a hardcore Republican.
Voted for President Trump.
They wake up in Mexico, and he's all like, oh, your black lady head wrap. Hey, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but I feel like she loves him the way Kamala voters love Tim Walz. This is just he's a younger Tim Walz just making his way through this racial minefield. And at number 3, we have Alex and Tim, the immovable object and the bossy lady. I guess that's how they describe themselves. I knew that was trouble when he's like, I'm just cool. I don't really be, take a lot to move me. Took a lot to move me. I could see in her eyes all right, a bet. Anyways, all of that with the fact that she spent most of the first 6 episodes, just saying what she didn't like about him. I need to make this clear. This is a personality type. If you can't talk about yourself and what you like, you might as well stop talking because those people tend to fill that void with what they hate about everything else. She won't even let this man like his dog. My dog. So then it seems like everything is still going fine until the very end of the whole first 6 episodes is a 30-second shot of this man just looking like there's panic in his eyes. She moved that object. And at number 2 / number 1, because this is a weird one. This season is messy. We have Leo, Hannah, Stephanie, and Nick D. Leo comes in and he's this art dealer guy. They start with these tight shots of him so you can't really see how goofy he is. He looks like this really suave, yeah, I just buy art. I inherited it. It's not that big a deal. My whole family's dead. That's how I got it. Everyone thinks it's the coolest job. Women just want me for my money. He spends 12% of his lines just saying how he doesn't want a woman to want him for his money. He goes on to find interest in both Hannah and Stephanie. So Stephanie is a self-proclaimed trophy wife. She's only dated athletes and rock stars. She's very clear about this. It comes to a point where they have a finances talk and he's like, yeah, so it's really fucking hard dating because women just want me for my money. And she's like, yeah, well, I expect to be taken care of at least 80%, but probably 100%. And he's like, okay. Stephanie's also really into his job, which is important because she's like, oh, wow, that's so cool. You do this, and this. Contrast that. Now he's going out with Hannah. I don't get why anybody here likes Hannah. Straight up, that's my introduction to you and Hannah. But Hannah shows up, and Leo's really into Hannah. And Hannah's like, what is art dealing? It's she she doesn't even know what the job is. Now they're building something that, again, the conversations are so vapid that I don't get why anything is building anything, but they just keep going. So Hannah goes back to Nick, who I'll get to later, and she has a whole meltdown because she has to choose between Leo and Nick. And all the other girls are like, ew, Nick, don't choose Nick. He's too good at talking. I want to remind people this is a show called Love is Blind where they don't see people. So the entire room of women was like, you should not choose Nick. He's a good talker. So Hannah, I don't know if she's listening to all this or not, but she goes back in to Nick and she's like, listen, this is over basically. And Nick's just like, I love you though. I love you though.
Tell me what you want me to be and I'll be exactly that. Just please don't split up with me.
I love you. For all good he is at talking, he just spent that entire time just convincing her of nothing. She still broke up with him. So now she goes back and this is when Stephanie walks in and is like, Leo, oops. Now Hannah's like, oh my God, Leo's my number 1. Did I make a mistake? This is where it ratchets up because now both women have their focus on Leo. Leo's not a good man, y'all. I don't know if Leo ever planned on marrying anybody on this show or just seeing how many hoes he could stack because he's a rich white art dealer from Miami, white facing at least. But Leo then basically starts just lying to Stephanie, lying to both of them oh, I like you more. But it appears clear that he likes Hannah more. So Stephanie starts having a meltdown, and he's just comforting her, with words of financial affirmation. Like, I know you're going to like this ring. It's going to be like so fucking gold for you. It's going to be like the most golden ring. Like, you're either going to like square, you're going to like oval. Do you like square or oval? Like, it can't be circular. And she's like, oh my God, you get me. And I'm like, so then you go back to Hannah, who's, you know, now her and Stephanie have like figured out that like, not only are they both talking to Leo, but Leo's been like giving Hannah more hype. So Hannah comes back in and she's like just sitting there like, you know what? I'm going to go for Nick. Leave me out of this. Essentially goodbye. And this man has a meltdown. He's like, but why? You're going to let the schedule determine our fucking future?
I want to talk to you first. I want to talk to you first tonight, Hannah.
I just don't understand you, Hannah. Like, I was coming in to say all this. Like, bitch, no, you weren't coming in to say all this. You just said the exact opposite to Stephanie. And we all saw it. So now Hannah tells Stephanie all this. He goes back to Stephanie and I'm like, watching this. Bro, this man looks at Stephanie. He's like, Stephanie, will you marry me? And I'm just screaming at the screen like, say no. Say no. She said yes, y'all. Which led to, they meet, and it's one of the most awkward meetings of all time. One of the most awkward reveals. Clearly he's attracted to her, but like, it feels like in a Diddy-esque way. Like, he keeps like hugging her with like all of his limbs.
Remember, you said it feels like getting tackled by a skeleton.
And he just stares weird and shit. All I can say is when this is done, the first thing Stephanie says is, oh Lord, what have I done? Taking this back, Nick D shows up in the pods. One thing about him he says is that he used to play football. He says very clearly, I was a punter. I wore a sleeve and a visor. That is a nerdy white kid. Now, do I think he was trying to game him up? No. Hannah is like, well, I was a cheerleader. I always date the quarterback. Right then, I'm like, really? D3 quarterbacks. I don't know. I'm not. Hannah is like Chelsea from last season. Chelsea was like, yeah, I look like Megan Fox. Oops. Not Hannah being like, I look like Taylor Swift and you can be my Kelsey. All the drama's happening on the other side with Leo. And Hannah finally breaks through that because Nick just keeps saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. Now, the reveal for them was wild because we're all thinking in the audience that Nick is going to see this woman and be like, oh, we're all trying to wait for his reaction. Like, is he going to like her or is he not? Meanwhile, none of us suspected that Hannah was much more shallow the whole time. As soon as she saw this man, she literally looked left and right like some producers had like a better answer. Then she takes time to be like, Nick lied. He described himself as some jacked football player. Okay, I had to pause it. He's taller than her. She's wearing 3-4-inch heels. He's still taller than her. I don't know what's happening, why she thinks she's bigger than him. She just like immediately devalues him in that moment. And this is just basically the story for the rest of the episode. They go to Mexico. This man decided to get on some sort of prop near the pool. He's like, I want to ride that duck. And she's like, if you ride that duck, it's going to give me the ick. You made me feel uncomfy. You're going to give me the ick. Yes. This guy gets on a duck. He jumps around weird on it for a second with some other like old lady who's there. And she's pissed. So pissed that she writes like a list of things he's fucking up with. I try to remember the ones he said out loud. There's like questions she has of him. Too into his feelings, self-confidence versus cocky, maturity, dedicated. He's delusional. He pulls her aside and he's like, am I delusional? And it's just like cut to something else. I don't know. Our white women are kind of cooked on this show. There's just a history of violence with you guys. The blonder, the worse. I don't know. Y'all know how to figure it out. Until next time, those are the 5 things.